welcome back to my channel. Today's video is me setting up my vision board for 2024. I built this after I made my goal list, so I'm going to go over those goals for 2024, and then I'm going to set up my planner. So if that interests you, be sure to like and subscribe. I hope you stick around and find some motivation to set your own 2024 goals. So something I've seen circulating on social media, instead of just our goals for 2024, which is good and all, and instead of doing a word of the year, which I also like, last year for 2023, there was this trend, the ins and outs of 2023, and it's back again for 2024. My post-shower hair is crazy. So my ins for 2024, I have slippers. Y'all know I love my slippers. I have 2 pairs now. Ryan has 3 pairs. I think Kiddo has 2 pairs here and 1 pair at her dad's. I'm really wanting a pair of those smiley face slippers, so I might be adding those to my collection. We will see. Coffee at home. I love supporting local coffee shops, but we're going to try to make coffee at home this year. Morning and evening routines. So I'm going to really focus on having the same morning routine, the same evening routine, not just for myself, but for everyone else in the household as well. A grown-up bedtime. Ryan and I need to be more accountable and more consistent with our bedtime. He has to leave for work at 4:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, so he wakes up at like 3:55, and he'll still be awake at midnight. And he says it's because he can't sleep, but that's where an evening routine comes in. So I think we're going to work on that this year. Meal looping is a new term, but it's not a new process. It's where you have the same 10 or 15 meals on repeat, and you have all of the ingredients almost always on hand. So that way when you have to go to the store, you know what you have to get. It'll help with budgeting. It'll help with meal prep. It'll help with making grocery trip shopping more efficient and smooth. I want to add more family game nights, so at least once a week I want to play a family game or a puzzle. Budgeting and financial literacy, so this is something that Ryan and I really have to get on the same page about. We haven't done a very good job of merging our financial status yet. We have been very financially independent of each other, and as a married couple with a child together, almost, we have to be on the same page. And we don't communicate about our own money. It's like his money and my money, and it's very stressful for me. So I'm really focusing this year on getting us on the same page. And then finally is functional hobbies. So bread making, mixology, hemming clothes. Hobbies that are fun, but also serve a purpose. I don't just want to dump a whole bunch of money into something that's not going to be useful. I don't necessarily want to sell things. I want functional hobbies. I want to learn how to do things. I want to learn woodworking or something that'll benefit us and our household down the line. So my outs for 2024 is, the first one is using every flat surface as a shelf. This is a huge pet peeve. As you can see right here, flat surface full of crap. On that note, cluttered spaces. I'm tired of clutter. I'm tired of having stuff in every corner. I just want it all gone. I want to start fresh. We're fixing to buy a house, hopefully by June. The baby is due in April. We're hoping to already have a house picked out, and then we can start the process and move in June. So hopefully when we get to this new house, we can start fresh and not have flat surfaces full of junk and clutter in every corner. Similarly, along those lines, impulse buying. That follows up with the budgeting, but also the clutter. You don't have clutter if you don't have stuff that you didn't need. So buying intentionally, not buying on impulse, going to the store with a list. This is all tying together. Sad Beige Anything. Funny story, I used to follow her on TikTok, the woman who started that. I used to follow her before her Sad Beige days, And when she started posting all the sad beige stuff, I was like, this is super weird. It's not why I followed you. She used to post entirely different content. So I unfollowed her, and then she went viral for this sad beige trend that she was calling out, and I'm like, but anywho, I'm not into the sad beige. I do think that I do prefer neutrals. I don't necessarily like primary colors, red, blue, yellow, but my nursery is not going to be all beige and taupe and builders colors. I want pastels, I want muted colors, but I want colors, okay? I want some colors in my nursery. Next on my out list is playing TV in the background. This was something that was, as when I was a kid, you woke up in the morning, you turned the TV on, the TV was on all day long until you went to bed and you turned the TV off. And a few years ago, when Sassy was first born, we never did this. I was very adamant about it. But in the past year or so, the TV has started going on in the background. So especially Ryan specifically watches TV to fall asleep, which I hate, but it's him and it's his thing. So I'm going to work on figuring out how to get the TV sleep function to work, so that way the TV turns off within an hour or so. That follows up with the bedtime routine thing I mentioned in my ins. And then also I want kiddo's Echo to have sleep mode too, because she listens to music all night long. And then the last thing on my list is newsletters, text subscriptions, notifications. They all have to go. Digital clutter, same thing with the clutter, but this is digital. I'm tired of getting notifications all day long from subscriptions that I don't want, just because they asked for my phone number at one point and now they're sending me text messages like, I'm not interested in your product or your company. I want to unsubscribe to all of them. I want to unsubscribe to all the email newsletters. If I'm going to buy your stuff, I'm going to type in your website. There's very few emails that I get and I'm like, oh wow, I'm going to click in and I'm interested. So I'm going to actively work on unsubscribing from all my newsletters, text subscriptions, notifications, and just turn them all off. So these are my ins and my outs for 2024. Next up, I have my goals for 2024, and I broke these down into categories. First up I have is personal. And on my personal, I like to focus on Duolingo. I have like a 3-year streak. And to be perfectly honest, I probably should have like a 6-year streak. But some weird things happened with COVID. It was COVID. So I have 2 goals. I want to add a second language focus. I focus on French right now, so I want to increase my French use, my French Duolingo usage, obviously, but I also want to add a secondary focus. I also want to build a better wardrobe. I'm trying to get out of athletic wear. I'm getting more neutrals, more stuff that matches. I like black and white, a lot of these. And I want to get rid of a lot of my graphic tees. I also want to get my nose pierced. This is totally superficial, but I was trying to get my nose pierced right before I got pregnant, and then I didn't. My birthday was in May. I was like, I'm gonna get my nose pierced for my birthday. And then some things popped up. I didn't. I moved to Virginia and immediately got pregnant. Home category. Obviously, with my ins and outs, I want to focus on decluttering and maintaining a proper household. We're going to buy a house, right? So we're going to really prioritize getting over, working with some realtors, finding good areas, finding good schools, finding places that I can work that still have a good commute for Ryan to his job. I want to bake bread weekly. I baked a loaf of bread the other day, a few weeks ago now, and it was so fun. So I think baking bread is going to be one of my functional hobbies, which I mentioned in my ins. I love to bake cookies, but cookies only go so far. So I think I'm going to focus on baking bread and develop a cleaning reset schedule. So whenever I post my cleaning videos, they always do really well. People are like, thank you for being so relatable. And I'm like, I'm not trying to motivate you. I swear I'm trying to just get myself to clean because it's so hard. I feel like, well, it's really hard. So especially with a baby coming in April, I really want to get a very strict reset schedule. Some things like every Sunday we had been cleaning out the fridge. I want to push that at least until we move to Wednesdays, because trash day is Wednesday. So if the trash goes out on a Wednesday, I want every Wednesday we're cleaning out the fridge. I want like an evening reset. So a list of things that kiddo can do every single night before bed to kind of contribute to the household. So things like find everyone's shoes. Any shoes that aren't put away, she can find them and put them away. I also really want to outsource a housekeeper. I had been saying this for years, even before me and Ryan got together. It's never been in our budget, but I want a housekeeper. I want her once a month, or him. I want a housekeeper to come once a month just to help me get back on. I get so overwhelmed by the clutter and the mess, and I think once a month, I just want someone to come in and help me get back on track. And I don't think that's asking a lot. So we're going to try to get that. Reduce lunchbox item consumption. So this goes back to the meal looping. This goes back to the budgeting. I want to reduce single serve items. If we buy, I'm not saying junk food per se, but if we buy a bulk thing from Costco or Sam's Club or wherever, or if we buy a big bag of chips, we buy a box of cookies, we can break those down into reusable Tupperwares and not have the individuals that were the same price for 6 bags instead of a big one. Like, where we can reduce our impact on the environment, we can reduce the impact on our budget, like less lunchbox items. So I mentioned in my ins and outs that I wanted to increase our family game nights. So that is the first thing on my family goal list. I want family game nights. And once we buy a house across the water, I want to meet up with some of Ryan's friends, who his coworkers that live over there, and maybe start like an adult monthly game night where we can play strategy games for adults. Similarly, I want to have a movie night. I mentioned that I don't want to have TV in the background as much, and I think that having an intentional movie is also a good family bonding moment. We can have hot chocolate once a week. We pick a movie, we all sit down, no phones at that time. So I think that'll be fun. And then, I don't know if this is family or personal, but I did not have a maternity shoot when I was pregnant with my first, and I do want to make sure that that is on my list. I want to have a maternity shoot as well as newborn photos. Love me some newborn photos. And then just on a candid photo, I love that 9-month in, 9-month out trend, so I put that on here so that way I don't forget to do it, because I want to take a photo at 9 months in, and then again when baby girl is 9 months out. I think those are so fun. Book category. So for 2023, my goal was to read 50 books, and it's actually the first year in like 5 years that I've actually hit my 50-year goal. So of course I had to increase it, which we'll see if I hit it. But my goal is to read 65 books. Oh, and I skipped one. So I also want to get a Norfolk library card. I want to get a Norfolk library card while I'm here, and then after we move across the water, I'll get whatever one is up there. Right now, I'm still using my Charleston one, like Dorchester County, from living in Charleston, and that's awesome. They haven't booted me off yet, but I use the Libby app, and I don't want them to kick me off, because that's like how I get all my free books. So I'm hoping that not only will I prevent myself from getting kicked off, but I also have access to more books by getting a Norfolk library card. Back to my 65 goal though. So I want to read 65 books for the year, and I want 10 of them to be nonfiction. So this past year I read 5 memoirs and autobiographies, which were kind of fun. I did start this book in 2023. Very fancy toilet paper. I do want to read this book, and I'll add this to my list for my nonfiction book as well. That being said, I want to read 10 paper books. So getting a Norfolk library card will definitely help, because we can go to the physical library and get physical books. That being said, I also want to listen to 10 audiobooks. So that shouldn't be a problem, because I listen to my audiobooks in the car. But 10 audiobooks is approximately 1 a month. So I should be able to do that as well. I also want to work through my TBR. If you're an Amazon Prime member, each month you get 1 to sometimes 2 free books from First Reads. I just got 2 books for January, and I never read them. So I want to work through reading all of those first before I start renting a whole bunch more books. So financial category. I want to schedule out 10 or more no-spend days a month. And I want this to be not just me, I want this to be with Ryan as well, which, as I mentioned in our ins and outs for financial literacy, I really want me and him to get on the same page on a financial plan. So we are going to allocate at least 10 days each month to no spending. We're going to be more intentional with meal prep. Like I mentioned, we're going to get into meal looping, which is 10 to 15 meals on repeat, and then we're going to avoid one-off ingredients. Find substitutes. If we're missing something, like maybe we don't need it after all. Like if we're not going to use it again, we probably don't need it that bad. Avoiding day of grocery runs if we're meal prepping, if we're meal looping, if we have these things on hand and we're recycling the same ingredients for each meal, he shouldn't have to run out to the store every single night at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. to grab something for dinner that night because we've already planned ahead. I want to thrift more. Thrifting has been kind of trendy, getting rid of fast fashion. I want to pay off our credit cards. I have a few different processes for that. Ryan plans on using his bonus for his reenlistment to pay off his credit cards, but we are going to get rid of our credit cards. That'll help us also get us, paying off the credit cards will also help us buy a house, which we plan to put in our offer probably sometime in April, I believe. May, June, yeah. So probably like either right before the baby comes or right after the baby comes, we want to have a house ready and put in an offer. I would like to trade in my car. My car is almost paid off right now. I still owe a lot. I still owe money on my last car, which is interesting but we'll deal with that later. But I want to trade in this car. I think I want a Subaru Crosstrek. That's like my dream car right now. So we can trade that in and then I can work on paying off my Buick, which I still owe a little bit on. Health and fitness. So this is the first year that I have some pretty relaxed health and fitness goals. I do have a Burn Bootcamp membership, so that will kick back in at some point. It's on pause right now for medical complications due to pregnancy, but I would like to hit 100 camps at Burn Bootcamp. I hit officially 49 camps for 2023, and that sucks because your first you get to sign the 50 when you hit 50, and I hit 49. So I'm kind of devastated about that, but at the same time, I was not in the business of having my placenta rupture just for a signature on a board. So we did not hit 50 camps, but I would like to hit 100 for 2024. And I also want to run a half marathon. So I've run 3 half marathons so far. I have an average of about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not going to set any goals for my half marathon. I just want to run a half marathon in a Burr month. I want to buy a bike and actually ride it. I have been saying I wanted a bike for the longest time. Ryan has a bike that I kind of stole. It's a long story. And Kiddo has a bike, which she doesn't want to ride because she doesn't want to ride by herself. Sometimes she used to ride when Ryan and I were running. But I think if all of us ride our bikes together, she'll be more interested in riding her bike. And then finally, I want to drink more water, which the best goals have numbers. I should say something like, I want to drink a gallon of water each day, but I don't. I just want to drink more water. I want to drink more water. And for travel category, I set this one really, really low simply because we are having a child in April. So I don't want to say like visit one new state, visit Ryan's family in New Mexico. Like we would love to visit Ryan's family in New Mexico, but I want to set goals that I know I can work towards and try to attain. And traveling to New Mexico isn't something that I can work towards. It's something that is going to be based on the moment. So I have one mini road trip each month. That could be less than an hour away. Like even where we live now in Norfolk, going up to Williamsburg, to Colonial Williamsburg, that's less than an hour away. It's a fun little mini trip. And then I also want to renew our passports. Do we have any international plans so far? No. Does this future spawnlet, is she going to need a passport right away? Probably not, but we want to go to Disney at some point. That's also another one I don't want to add, but it's probably going to happen. We also want to go overseas, but we don't know. We don't want to set that in yet, but I think getting our passports renewed, me and Kiddo, Ryan obviously, his passport's always active, but I think me and her getting our passports renewed will help set the initiative to make some international plans. Those are my goals for 2024. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope this motivates you to set your own goals. And if you have any questions at all, just drop them down in the comments below. I would also love to hear any of your goals that you have for 2024. So just let me know. I always get my planners from Target. I like the Day Designers and the Blue Sky brand. This is the one I went with this year. Inside you can see it has this removable bookmark, which I love. It has the ruler and then a few pages of stickers. Those always seem to match my aesthetic. And a folder that I literally never use. I like that it has the personal information in case I was to lose it, but let's be honest, it's never going to leave my bedside stand, but I'll fill it out anyway. The next page here is the yearly overview, which is fantastic because it has both 2024 and 2025, so it's good to get a nice view on the year ahead. And then over here, it teaches you how to use the planner, which I should hope that we already know how to use a planner, but I guess it's not for everyone. Then here we have the goals for the year. I have already set up my goals for the year over on my Notion. I don't use all of these categories, but I might still fill a few of these in just so that way I have a written copy as well as my digital copy. I'm a big fan of having my daily to-do list, so this page here is fantastic because it has the daily habits as well as weekly routines, monthly rituals, annual actions that I can repeat throughout the entire year. Then on this next page, there's a yearly bucket list, which I think is great, especially since 2024 is going to be an incredible year. These next 3 pages are just the Burr month from 2023, and I probably won't do much on them because we're going into 2024. Each of the months have a note list with the to-dos for the monthly to-do list as well as weekly where I can write down anything I have to do, any appointments each day. Each spread here is a week, and then there's a cute little quote up on top, which is kind of cute, I guess. And then here on the last page of each month, there's like a monthly review where you can look back at your personal wins and the important goals and people that you connected with. Now, I might go through and change some of these categories to reflect on the actual month, but we will see. I can go through each month and change those if I choose. At the end of the planner, there's a resource tab, which I think is super interesting, not something that everyone needs, but it is something that I will flip through. There's tips on how to reach your personal goals and strategies to reduce stress and then self-care habits. And they're just exactly what this says it is. They're resources, and it's if you want to use them, you can use them, and if you don't want to use them, they're in the back where they'll never get seen. This last resource page is 24 ways to be kind to yourself, and it's just a bunch of affirmations as well as a spot on the bottom where you could include your own affirmations. And then there's a notes section and a list of all of the holidays throughout the year, and then a map because we need a map, I guess. As always, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I hope to see you next time on my next video.